How's it going, laser bruises up? Bobby Sixkilla and welcome back to Ever 17. We're still working our way to Coco's ending and we are back to being Kid again. I don't really know what's going on actually. Let's just continue and see what happens because I'm trying to make guesses as we go, but at the moment I'm kind of stumped. There's a few things that could be let's just go. Everyone was silent. You rested her chin in her hands and watched a plant in the corner of the room. I'm gonna watch this plant grow. Sarah put her face on the table and closed her eyes. Takeshi stood by the window and stared at the ocean. Sora was not there. She'd gone back to the control room. Tsugumi had just stood up. She headed toward the exit. She touched the panel to open and close the door. Just before she left the room, she looked at me again. It bothered me. I couldn't let it bother me. A while after Tsugumi had gone out, I'm going to the bathroom. Saying that to everyone, I followed Tsugumi. I followed the sound of water splashing and soon found Tsugumi. She was walking ahead of me in a curved corridor. I ran to Tsugumi and asked her, "Hey, why do you keep looking at me?" Tsugumi didn't stop walking. She didn't even look at me. I stepped ahead of her and stood in her way. "You were shooting sideways glances at me, right? And then you glanced at me when you left the conference room. So what?" "So, well, yes, I was looking at you. But you watched me as well, didn't you? If not, you wouldn't have noticed my glance." "You're right, that's not true. Peripheral vision, man." "So we're even. But you started watching me first. Is that a problem?" "No problem, but what, are you afraid you'll turn into a pillar of salt if someone looks at you? Maybe if you look at me." "No." "Fine then." Saying that, Tsugumi started to walk. I blocked her way, holding up my arm. "Wait a minute. Don't change the subject. What I wanted to know was the reason why you keep glancing at me." "Do I need a reason?" "Do you need a reason to look at someone?" "Are you trying to change the topic again?" "Then why are you asking me such a stupid question?" "Because I want to know." "To know what?" "About you, Tsugumi." "Tsugumi, do you want to say something to me? You wanted to say something to me, didn't you?" Tsugumi looked down. She dragged her legs slightly on the ground behind her. The ripples spread over the surface of the water. Tsugumi's eyes followed the direction the ripples spread absently. She looked up. We stared at each other. Tsugumi pushed her hair back softly with her little finger and said, "I have many things I want to say, but I can't say them yet." She spoke in mild, calm tone. "Hey, Tsugumi, why do you keep trying to hide so many things? You can't trust us yet?" "No." "Then why did you help us with the repairs when the flooding accident happened today?" "I didn't help you." "What?" "I did the repairs and everyone else helped me." "You can look at that any way you want. It's not important. What is important is that you tried to help us anyway, right?" "Yeah." Tsugumi said it simply. "I just don't trust you guys. It's not that I have a grudge against you. There's nothing special about helping someone during an emergency, is there? I don't care about what happens to myself, but I can't just sit doing nothing when someone is going to die. Especially in circumstances like this." It was an unexpected answer. It is from her. Little by little, Tsugumi might have been seeing our side of things. Alright then. For someone who, sees no value in human life whatsoever, that is an interesting statement coming from her. I'll ask you a different question. You show yourself around us often, even though you say you don't trust us, right? If you doubt us, you don't have to hang around with us. You can act on your own. So you actually want to be buddies with us, don't you? I was kind of taking a gamble. If she'd answer back with something like, "Fine, if that's what you want, I'll never show my face again," then that would have been the end of things. I waited for a reaction. Tsugumi laughed. "Oh no, this isn't good." She kept shaking her head and laughing hard. "What's so funny?" "Because you said buddy. We're not school kids, you know. I'm much older than you think." Tsugumi covered her mouth as she kept laughing. "Hey, stop laughing. I'm being serious." "If I'm wrong, then what is it? If you don't want to be buddies with us, then why do you come to where everybody is?" "You want to know why?" "Yeah. I can tell you why if you want, but I want you to answer this question in exchange. Do you know about Jewel chocolate?" "What? Jewel chocolate?" "No? I don't know." I answered honestly. Jewel chocolate is an ordinary candy bar. The only special thing is that a toy ring comes with the candy as an extra surprise." "I see. There are 34 types of toy rings in total. If you collect all of the rings, then you have to keep, if you want to collect all the rings, you have to keep buying the candy. and then you can summon Captain Planet once you've got all of them. But don't you think that's a little odd? The relationship is backwards here. Really, the chocolate should be the primary reason for buying the candy, and the ring should be secondary. But for people who collect rings, the chocolate is kind of a secondary benefit. So you mean the chocolate becomes something extra after the rings? That's right. But, so what? What does that have to do with what we were talking about? Don't you get it? I tilted my head. The primary reason that I go to everybody is not to see them. Sugumi stopped talking. The smile was gone from her face. She stared at me with a serious look. It was a tense look. Just looking at her deep and dark-coloured eyes, I felt as if I was about to be absorbed. But I couldn't look away, I couldn't even budge. My body was stiff like a pillar of salt. I'm just collecting rings. The chocolate is an added benefit. As she said that, I didn't know why, but suddenly she touched my ear. She traced the outline of my ear and pinched my earlobe tenderly. In that moment, my body burst into fragments. I don't remember what happened after that. I just found myself in the middle of the corridor, standing in a daze. Sugumi had disappeared at some point. I'm just collecting rings. Sugumi's voice echoed in my head. I wobbled back to the conference room. When I entered the room, only you and Sarah were there. They were lying on the table and breathing as if they were asleep. Their legs were facing me. I could almost see their underwear. But I was not interested in it. Not interested. I pretended not to be interested. I walked to the side of the table and shook Yu's body slightly. You opened her eyes, rubbing one of them with her hand. Hey kid, welcome back. You'll catch cold sleeping in a place like this. I'm alright. Mario's body is warm, so saying that you hugged Sarah's body tightly. Sarah did see something in delirium, but she didn't seem to wake up. I figured they both had to be tired. Where's Takeshi? I think he went to the merry-go-round. You mean the merry-go-round with the dolphins? Yeah. That's what he said before he left. Did he go alone? As I asked, I realized that I'd already known the answer. Sora was in the control room. I'd met Sugumi a minute ago. You and Sarah were holding each other like koalas in front of me. He went alone. You answered me. Alright then. Can you let me sleep now? I'm having a nice time. Having a nice time? You might have been half in a dream. She closed her eyes slowly. I went up the emergency stairs and headed for the merry-go-round. I thought briefly that it'd be nice to go to sleep between you and Sarah, but unfortunately, I was not sleepy at all. I don't think they'd let you join, honestly. Besides, I was curious about what Takeshi was doing at the merry-go-round. If I remembered right, Takeshi had been sitting on a dolphin earlier in the day as well. Sarah told me that. I wonder if riding the merry-go-round alone was fun. Didn't he used to do that with Sora when we were playing as him? If that was something fun for him, Takeshi was kind of freaky. I'm the king of a dolphin kingdom. I can imagine Takeshi having fun by himself. But if he wasn't there for his amusement, then I want to know what reason he was going to the merry-go-round so often. Anyway, I was itching to find out the truth. That's why I didn't mind climbing up 51 feet of stairs. I came out on a straight corridor. After I walked a while, I could see a door on the left side. There was a dolphin merry-go-round through the door. The door had been left open. I sneaked into the room, trying not to make a sound. Takeshi was there. He was alone as expected. Takeshi was all alone. Where are you? Hey, you? Oh, come on, what is this? He was wandering around in front of the merry-go-round as he screamed nonsense. It was as if he were chasing something invisible. You might have thought he was chasing butterflies over the flower garden. That's what it looked like to me. You've known it all along, right? There's no way I can catch you. This is the bit when him and Sora were talking. No matter how hard I try, I can't catch you. Takeshi was talking to a fake dolphin, tropical fish and seaweed. There was obviously something wrong with him. He was sicker than I imagined. There was no time to laugh. I was paralyzed with fear. I didn't even have the presence of mind to feel sorry for him. He's gone crazy because he's locked up in a place like this. We didn't even notice, but somewhere along the line he just snapped. Is something wrong? Are you worn out? Nothing bad's happened, has it? It seemed that Takeshi was worried about the dolphins. I clasped my hands together as if in a prayer pose. Dear God. I decided to leave without saying anything. I decided to pretend I hadn't seen it and keep it to myself. I started walking toward the exit. As the distance between myself and Takeshi grew, I couldn't hear what he said. Only one thing reached me. Clone Law? And then my vision twisted crazily. Wait, maybe the attack hit before his voice did. I don't know. I didn't know, but in any case, I lost my sense of balance. I couldn't tell what was up or down. It was such a sudden change that it threw me. I felt an urge to vomit, and a headache. Who are you? Who am I? It was my voice, but it wasn't mine. I lost consciousness. I crashed to the floor. Was it me that fell, or someone else that wasn't me? I felt myself sinking into the ground. Was I sinking? Or was the floor trying to swallow me? I didn't know. I didn't know. Clone lore? Clone lore. Clone lore. Clone lore? I melted into the picture into pure white darkness. Are we switching back? Yes, we are. Clone lore. Yes, the clone lore. I don't know, I forgot. In 2010? Human cloning, which had been illegal up to that point, was allowed by law. Currently, as long as anyone receives the approval of the authorities, cloning may be used as a method to treat infertility. They take the nucleus from an already cultivated somatic cell and then insert it into an egg that is its original nucleus removed. Then they implant it into a mother's womb. Oh, that's right, I remember now. Do you understand? What does that have to do with this? Clones develop separately. In other words, they're different entities. They're not the same person, they're more like twins. But their source is the same. Sora spoke almost casually. Let's get back to what we were talking about. I am omnipresent. There can be several of me existing in the same space at the same time. For example, in front of you and in front of Coco. There are two of me. But they're definitely not W. But why? Why? You see, please think of it this way. What if you could be copied exactly, just the way you are? For instance, what if every recollection, thought, feeling, character trait, personality, and emotion that was etched into your mind? In other words, your whole intelligence could be perfectly, exactly extracted. And then duplicated in some kind of storage medium, even reproduced, all your abilities. Then where's the real you? The you who stays in your body, is that the real you? Or is the duplicate character in fact you? The answer is, in any case, the real you does exist in both. Yes, you have divided into two. Historically, and from that moment forward, the two of you are travelling down the time axis as separate entities. But if you turn around and look at the journey you've taken, you'll see that at one point the two of you join together. But that's the same as twins as well, right? Because the source is the same, so you have a point that diverges as it goes along. This is just a later point. A point that appears later on, that then diverges. Right? It's a split like a Y, with 2 points emerging from one line. Not a W, with 2 points. 2 separate points of origin. You may be unable to imagine two of yourself splitting apart and going different ways at a particular moment, which you'll use as a reference point. But that is something that has already happened. You are always constantly approaching a choice in each present moment that becomes the past, the instant you visit it. Will you choose path A? Will you choose path B? The you that is standing here may have come down path A, but in another time axis, there may be a you who is going down path B, and both the you on path A and the you on path B are both still you. Except that the you on path A doesn't know about the you on path B, because there is no way to know. In the same way the you on path B probably isn't aware of the you on path A either. Do you know why that is? Tell me if this is basically it. The me on path A that you're talking about is one of the branches of the Y, and the me on path B is the other branch. To make it easier to understand, let's say that this is all two-dimensional, or on a flat plane. In this case, both my A and B cells would be two-dimensional beings. As two-dimensional beings, they wouldn't have an accurate awareness of their two-dimensional world at any time. Just like a person in a three-dimensional world can't keep track of all 6 sides of a die in real time. That means... let's see... dang, I lost my train of thought. In other words, basically it means this. The person at one end of the Y and the person at the other end of the Y branch can't really be aware of each other in real time. In order to know what is happening at the other end of the Y, you have to extract yourself from the two-dimensional plane and view the Y from a three-dimensional space. Until you can do that, even if you understand it mentally, there's no way to confirm whether both A and B cells exist. Well, that's just about right. To pick up there, Sora said this in a matter-of-fact tone. As you've been saying, until a being existing in two dimensions removes themselves from the second dimension and views it from the third-dimensional space above, that person will never fully be able to grasp the second dimension. When an individual gets out of the second dimension, only then does he realize that there is another of himself on another branch of the Y. And realize, too, that there is another you who took a different branch of the Y. Let's try to pull this together. In order to be fully aware of one's dimension, one must view it from the next dimension, n+1, or the dimension removed. Of course, this also applies to the third dimensional space. For a person to be fully aware of the third dimension, he or she needs to enter the fourth dimension. In other words, for you to realize that there is another of yourself that is branched off, you must get into the fourth dimension and look down into the third dimension. In this case, the fourth dimensional space becomes a kind of Minkowski space, but let's not get into that. So with this, I think I've gotten you to understand that there can be different versions of yourself with different histories, in different worlds and existing in different spaces. You're omnipresent in the world. In the same way, so am I. You and I, we're just branches of the Y. However, your divided self can become one. If the self you don't know were to become inseparably bound with you, if you could stand in a place where you could see and understand all of the others that were you, then all the experiences of your other selves would become like your own experiences. In the truest sense, you would become one. Let out a big sigh. Listen, can I ask you something? Please do. Why are you telling me all this to me? That's a good question. Sora did a somersault in space and smiled. It's a legend. And that's to do with the origin of Lemur and the mythical Lemurian continent. We need to find out more about that too. We've only found a little bit out about that. Let's just leave it at that. And you must understand, it is a secret. Sora held up one finger in front of her mouth, and then without a sound she vanished. For a while I just stood there, lost in thought. There was a doorbell ditching and eating and running. But I figured there wasn't a word like chat and run or debate and ditch. But that was exactly what Sora had just done to me. Oh well. Letting out a sigh, I made for the exit. It's like those drive-by arguments from Family Guy. British people have drive-by arguments. Anyway, as I walked, I reflected back on what Sora had said. Clones and dividing selves, walking in different times, simultaneous copies of Sora, the ubiquitous Sora. I wonder if Sora was trying to say that everything was all the same. And maybe Sora, with all her incomprehensible and special attributes, not having oneself was really not all that different. I wondered if that's what Sora had wanted to say. I wasn't sure. But I didn't see much use in thinking any more about these things that I didn't understand. That's when it happened. My foot came into contact with something soft. It felt as if I was stepping on a person. That's not a person, is it? One of my feet was standing on the kid's small back. Kid, are you alright? I kneeled down next to him and raised his body up. Huh? Takeshi. What do you mean, Takeshi? What are you doing collapsed in a place like this? Place like this? The kid bounced up like he'd been shocked. Oh yeah. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden my head hurt and then I fell down here. Your head? That could be bad news. Oh, I'm alright. I think a little sleep refreshed me. You sure? You sure you're fine? Yeah. But my back kinda hurts. I decided not to tell him that I'd been stepping on it. And I'm starved. My stomach won't stop growling. I see. Well, if you got an appetite, then you're probably okay, but then maybe you should have Sora take a look at you? Healthy people don't just get headaches and collapse all of a sudden. Hey, you listening to what I'm saying? Huh? What? Takeshi, you worry too much. I said I'm fine. I'm just a little anemic is all. And if it's not that, then I'm probably tired or hungry. Anyway. Right. The only thing that hurts is my back. Yeah. I just can't bring myself to tell him I stepped on it. But enough about that. Let's get to the kiosk. I'm starving. Saying that, the kid made for the exit, walking briskly. Shrugged, I watched him go. I was famished as well. But there was one more place I had to go before I went to the kiosk. Of course, it was to see Tsugumi. Her surgery was done a long time before Sora's talk about W and Y. Over 7 hours, but we're back on the timeline where she got hurt. I'd asked Sora about Tsugumi's condition. It required a total of 40 stitches and will take 2 months to heal completely. Until a rescue team arrives at Lemur and we can get her out of here, she'll have to rest. So I imagine that Tsugumi will have to rest until a rescue team comes, or she can get out of Lemur. We were lucky that there was no damage done to her brain or organs. Only her right thigh was injured. Maybe only wasn't the best way to put it. In any case, she had a compound fracture and had a severed artery. And if we'd taken any longer to treat her, she might have died from blood loss. I was thankful to you from the bottom of my heart. I entered the infirmary. Tsugumi was sleeping quietly on the bed on the far side of the room. It wasn't my first time to visit her since the surgery. I'd been in and out from that afternoon to evening again and again. Thinking about it, it seemed to me that the reason Sora had suddenly called me to explain about the whole W and Y thing had probably been to take my mind off Tsugumi. Her condition hadn't changed. She looked peaceful and was breathing steadily. A white blanket was covering her, and her foot peeked out from under it. She had a cast and bandage wrapped around her right leg. It looked painful. The smell of medicine continued to assault my nose. The scene was fairly raw, with traces still visible where the blood had been wiped away. I reached my hand under the blanket and gently took Tsugumi's palm in my hand. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. All I could do was repeat that mantra over and over to resting Tsugumi. After eating dinner at the kiosk, the four of us, you, Coco, the kid and myself, moved to the rest area. The kid started. Whoa, wait. Bow wow. The kid was chasing Pee-Pee around and they wove around the statues. They all looked like they were having fun. You decided, I'm gonna go look in on Sora. To head for the control room. Coco, huh? I didn't see Coco anywhere. I decided to look into the nearby kiosk, but she wasn't there. No one was. I emerged from the corridor. Squinting, I looked down the corridor to where it came to a T, and there was no sign of anyone. Nearby was the entrance to the Lemurian ruins, and the door was open. I could hear a small splashing sound coming from the area. I entered the room as if it were inviting me in. I'm starting to get confused between the two different timelines now. I'm starting to get messed up on which one's which. So Coco's normal here, but not in the other one. There's no Sarah here, though. And the Sarah's in the other one. Okay, I got it. Coco was standing in the center of the room. She was standing on a stone that was just above the water's surface, her feet together. Coco? Coco lifted her face. She looked lonely. I approached her. What are you up to? Coco just stood there silently, eyes on the surface of the water. Looking closer, I saw that she was clutching something in her left hand. Then Coco took that something into her right hand and let loose with it, tossing it into space. Splish. With a light splashing sound, that something hit and sank in the water. It disappeared amidst a circle of expanding ripples. Coco threw something again. It was a small spray of water. The lights reflected on the water shook uncertainly. Splish, splish, splish. Just as the waves were about to die away, Coco launched something into the water. But the area was dark and I couldn't see what it was. Hey, Coco. What is it? Coco opened her hand and showed me. In her palms were tiny pebble-sized pellets. I wondered if they were glass. They were transparent and shaped like water droplets. They were shaped like crystal teardrops. That's how they looked. It was as if she had a handful of tears. Glass tears? Coco flicked one of them with the tip of her finger. Splish. And that tear sunk into the water. You know, I've been thinking about Tsugumi. Coco said that, ignoring my question. It's my fault. What? Tsugumi, she was just trying to save me. She was trying to help me. That's why Tsugumi... Why Tsugumi... Coco's shoulders shook. Really? I should have been the one hurt. No. If Tsugumi hadn't saved me, I might have been dead. The tear traced an arc through the air before falling into the water. Tsugumi... I wonder if she's angry. It'd be silly. Why would Tsugumi be angry with you? Even if she were angry with anyone, it would be with me. I mean, my carelessness caused everything. I'm the one to blame. I thought that the sadness Coco was feeling, that was all my fault as well. No. It's not your fault. It was me. I'm to blame. It's because I wasn't paying attention. That's why Tsugumi had to get hurt instead of me. Coco let the tears she was holding fall, scattering below her. A burst of white spray erupted from the water surface below her. Takepion. Jumping off the rock, Coco came bounding into my chest. I'm going to apologize to Tsugumi. I'm going to tell her that I'm sorry. I'm just real sorry. Coco continued to bury her face in my chest, crying. Coco's tears seeped through into my skin and into my core, like rain falling on my heart. Cold rain. The many ripples on the water continued to fan out, never disappearing. Coco and I went to the infirmary. Inside the room was silent. We approached Tsugumi's bed carefully, so as to not make a sound. Tsugumi's eyes were open. She turned her face toward us. What? We came to see how you're doing. How are you? Same as I look? No more, no less? I see. Is that all? No. I didn't know how to say what had to be said. I didn't think just saying I'm sorry and bowing my head would get my feelings across. I wanted to choose my words carefully, but I came because I wanted to apologize to you, Tsugumi. Coco opened her mouth before I could speak. Apologize? Yes, because you were trying to help me. So that's why I have to say I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And besides that, I wanted to say thank you. I wanted to say sorry and thank you. Sorry and thank you, Tsugumi. Coco's voice shook. She almost sobbed as she tied her words together. You silly girl. Tsugumi's expression hinted at a smile. Coco, you don't have to say thank you. Of course, you don't have to apologize either, because you didn't do anything wrong, Coco. But, please don't look so sad, alright? Tsugumi extended one of her arms from the bed. She touched the palm to Coco's cheek. Everything happened because it was supposed to. It's no one's fault. I've never seen Tsugumi be so nice, so gentle. Her piercing gaze and sharp tongue, they could have belonged to an entirely different person. For an instant, I wondered what would have happened if I had come to see her alone. Maybe Tsugumi was opening up to Coco. Hey Coco, try to remember that time and what happened. Who was it that asked Coco to hold the pipe? It was me. I asked you to. So the reason you were standing there was because I told you to. So it was my fault. That has nothing to do with it. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it doesn't. So that would mean me pushing you out of the way and all those scrap metals falling. That was nobody's fault, right? That's how cause and effect of things works. Now if you look for the cause, it just leads everywhere. To no end. The cause of the cause of the cause, chasing after that and thinking in that way, it's kind of pointless, right? That's why I said the things I did. Everything happened because it was supposed to. And besides, what I did helped minimize the number of injuries, and I think it was a good decision. I helped you, and I'm still alive. So that makes everything okay. Okay? Do you see what I'm saying? After thinking it over for a while, Coco nodded without much confidence. It's alright if you don't understand it right now. You're probably too young to understand it yet. Anyway, just don't blame yourself. And don't get that sad look either. Tsugumi gently pinched Coco's cheek with her fingers. Alright, you got it? Yeah. Coco furrowed her brow and gave a solid nod. Looking for a good time to chime in, I finally found my voice. Tsugumi had said it was all nobody's fault, but I still felt like I needed to apologize to her. I was the one who had created the opportunity that made the accident possible. What is it? Tsugumi's expression was mild as before. Tsugumi, just as I was about to say sorry, the shrill scream of a warning siren rang loudly in my ears. What's that? Oh no, not more flooding. Coco's face went pale. Focusing her eyes on one point on the wall, Tsugumi raised her body up. Wait, Tsugumi, what are you doing? I'm gonna go see what's going on. Stupid, you have to rest. You can't go moving around. It's fine, this injury's no big deal. No big deal? You're really something, I can't believe you're so stupid. Just stay here and take it easy. I'll go check things out. But, no buts. Got it? I don't want you moving an inch, because if you do, you'll have to deal with me. I put my hand on Tsugumi's shoulder and laid her back on the bed. As soon as I figured out what was going on, I'll come back. Don't worry, everything will be fine. Saying that, I jetted out of the room. Wait, I'm coming too, I'm coming. I dashed out of the infirmary. I looked to the left and the right. Coco, trailing behind me, grabbed and squeezed my hand. Takepion, what are we gonna do? Coco sounded scared. For now, we'll go to where everybody else is. I pulled along Coco as I ran. I headed for Drite's stock. I descended the stairs in a blur. I peeked in the control room. No one was there. Kicking up water, I sprinted down the corridor. The alarm was still blaring. I strained to listen. I didn't hear the sound of seawater rushing in, or the sound of partitions squeaking under pressure, but there was something that I heard in the gaps between the sirens. It sounded like rain, like water droplets pouring down on water, and the sound of wind cutting through the sky. What is that sound? A winded Coco asked me that. We were getting closer to the sound of the rain. A low sound. It undercut the sound of the siren. Left of the corridor stood a gaping entranceway. Dashing into it, our eyes met with a surprising sight. A mass of droplets were showering down from the ceiling. It was the rest area. The whole area was obscured in a fine mist. And smack in the middle of it... Sora? Sora was shining like a rainbow. We worked our way towards Sora through the rain, trying to avoid the moisture as much as possible. Coco and I were already drenched. Sora, what in the world? Sora looked up at the ceiling. I followed her gaze and looked upward. Among the countless particles of mist, something was faintly visible on the other side. Sprinklers? Hee. Sora just laughed. She didn't try to answer. Just then, hey, what's happening? Yu frantically came running into the room. She was holding a fire extinguisher in her hands. She already had removed the safety pin and the nozzle was aimed and was ready to let loose with it. It was a pretty clumsy looking attempt. I apologize for unduly causing you worry. I felt sorry for them, so I felt sorry? Sora turned her gaze to the flower beds on the ground. What's this? All just to water the flowers? Sora just smiled. She didn't try to explain. There isn't a fire or an explosion or anything like that? Correct. I'm very sorry. But Sora's face didn't look like she was sorry. Rather, it looked like Sora was enjoying the droplets showering from the sprinklers. Geez, don't scare me like that. The monitor in the security room gave a fire alarm, so I came running. You replaced the nozzle of the fire extinguisher and the safety pin. Well, at least it was nothing serious, better than the alternative, I suppose. Yeah. Coco, you and I heaved a sigh and sat down where we were. The sprinklers hadn't stopped. Sora was staring at the flowers with a look of pity. It looked as if the grass and flowers were dancing, reveling in newfound moisture. What happened to Kiddo and Pee-Pee? I looked around the room. I saw them. The kid and Pee-Pee were still running around the statues. It's raining, it's pouring. Woof woof. The old man is snoring. Bow. And I'm singing in the rain because I like the rain. Wow wow. Delicious rain. Gulp gulp gulp. What a glorious feeling, but I don't want to catch a cold. Woof woof. I'm gonna get you out now. It's an acid rain shower. Wow 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 wow. I'm singing in the rain, what a glorious feeling. Woof woof. The kid and Pee-Pee were running around in the downpour screaming out joyfully. It went beyond playfulness, it was close to pathological. I wonder if the kid had finally taken a plunge off the deep end. I clasped my hands together as if praying for his recovery. Rain, rain, don't go away, come again some other day. Bow wow. Not a sprinkler, but a shower, an excuse to get drenched and skip school. Woof. Gulp, gulp, gulp. Delicious rain used to make beer. Hiccup. But if I drink it, the police will come. What the fuck is going on? Time to run, gotta escape, and don't forget the umbrellas. I'm a kid. I'm the kid. And I'm the rain boy. But the rain can't get me. Rain, rain, sweet rain, come again another day. Fucking nutcase. And we're back to Kid, and it is time for us to wrap this episode up, because we're out again. But it looks like we're in the Cosmic Whale Room this time. And we're Kid, which is weird. I don't know what's happening. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.